Let's bring in economist Michael Szanto. Michael, we appreciate you joining us here on this Friday. The talks with China have been in the works for some time, according to everyone in the White House. Do you think the U.S. and Chinese officials may be able to at least start the steps of agreeing to something that leads to de-escalation in the trade war? And if so, what is that first step?
Well, yes, for sure. And President Trump put out a message today suggesting reducing the tariffs against China by nearly half. But you're talking about taking tariff policy that's really, really, really extreme and then dialing it down to really extreme. So I think that we need to be prepared for a few months of pain here in this country in terms of at least emptier shelves not full, and prices going up. I think there is a danger in this country of renewed inflation, perhaps as bad or worse than the worst of 2 years ago. And I think there is a risk of this exasperating our, basically creating a recession. And I think that the stock market gains we've seen in the last week may very soon reverse, in fact, because I think these huge tariffs do pose a huge challenge to our economy right now.
I want to ask you something you just brought up a minute ago. What do you think a deal ends up looking like for the U.S.? Because, as you said a minute ago, President Trump said on social media, quote, 80% tariff on China seems right. It's up to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Your thoughts on that? And, Michael, just be honest with our audience. Is this a who's going to cry uncle first situation?
Well, I mean, this could cause a lot of harm to both of us. The Chinese economy does have vulnerabilities, but we have to look at this rough deal with Britain, pushing things down to 10%. That's a big jump for us. And we also have to understand that President Trump is attacking deficits, trade deficits, and it does seem to come from a misunderstanding of economics where he believes that trade deficits mean that we're losing money. And in fact, the dollar-based system is largely based on American trade deficits because that's the mechanism that we propagate dollars around the world, and the U.S. economy gains enormously on the strength of our country from the fact that the dollar is a reserve currency. Though trade deficits may be a little bit too high, but he seems to want no trade deficits. This is extreme, and we don't lose money by having trade deficits. We have an elastic currency. It's a 100-year system, basically, and then that we built upon after World War II. So he's kind of attacking the wrong thing. Extreme trade deficits can be bad. He's aiming for zero, and he's aiming for 10% tariffs across the board, not just with China, but all countries. And that's a pretty significant tax on the American consumer and Americans as a whole.
Michael, we had you back on about a month ago. I feel like we could have played that same video back then. Nothing has happened, and especially with China. So we'll see if something develops from the weekend meetings over in Switzerland. Michael Szanto, always great insight on the numbers for our viewers. Thank you so much.